To Funky Rainbow's Book Bazaar. I mean, this is a special one for us. 75 years of being a free country. And what does that mean to all of us? That's what we're setting out to explore in this bazaar today. And I can see some dear friends already up online. Ritvika Roy, what a lovely, conference you put together. And I couldn't catch all the panels, but the two that I saw were absolutely scintillating. Arunji, good morning. So very delightful to see you here this morning. We've missed you the last couple of bazaars, but I understand that school is open now and it's hard to possibly get time out on Saturday mornings. In fact, for us at Funky Rainbow as well, there are things that are happening simultaneously on most Saturdays. So it's a smaller team here at the office, pulling off the bazaar, while, some of us today are at one of Bangalore's most beautiful libraries for the launch of Niyati Sharma's latest book, Harvest Day. So you can see it's buzzing. And that's always a lovely, lovely feeling. For our friends on Instagram, good morning to you as well. This is Funky Rainbow's weekly book show called The Book Bazaar. And we are here this morning to introduce to you books that feature iconic Indians from all walks of life. I mean, what makes, India, we are celebrating our 75 years of being a free country. So what is it, that makes India the modern country that it is? It is a melting pot. It is a, bunch of contradictions. And, you know, it's just, I think India's greatest treasure really is its people. I mean, this diverse, complex, vibrant mix of people who have really brought this nation forward 75 years. And this today at the bazaar, we're turning the spotlight on some extraordinary people, men and women who have helped shape modern India through their ideas, through their thoughts, and through their actions. I'm sure when you draw up a list, I mean, you will have a different list, and, I will have a different list, and I'm sure Sham will have a different list, and Bharti too. But the thing is, we have wonderful books that absolutely, that showcase people from different walks of life, introducing us to their lives, to the times that they lived in, and the path breaking, and the path breaking things that they did to move this nation forward, to make us this vibrant melting pot that we are today. It's not that India today is bereft of problems. I mean, it's problems existing everywhere, and to move forward as a diverse mix of people, I mean, that's just really the hardest thing to do. But the fact is, there are so many of us working in so many spaces to attempt that. The basic tenet of what makes us a democracy remains alive and carries forward. And each of the iconic Indians that we are focusing on, and these are iconic Indians who've, changed the course of our history. But there's ordinary people as well. There's people, all over the country, in their homes, in their offices, doing small things to ensure that we remain a diverse democracy. And I think books are perhaps the best possible way to absolutely ensure that we remain a diverse democracy. I can see Ritvika saying, thank you so much. The recordings will be up as soon as we can process them. Would be delighted to see a couple of other panels as well. As always, we've got two wonderful guests joining us later. Their books are very contemporary, and we wanted to focus on more contemporary Indians in the course of the bazaar. I mean, of course, the books that we've put up, if you log on to our website, www.com, click the tab that says Book Bazaar. There's a drop-down menu that will take you to season 5 of the Book Bazaar. And, you can click on the one that says Inspiring Indians. There's political leaders, there's, environmentalists, there's activists, there's writers, there's, people who work in the defense. I mean, there's just a whole array of people. But what we're trying to do today is to focus more on contemporary Indians who have really, led the way and have inspired us with their thoughts, ideas, and actions. I can see Arun making a whole bunch of suggestions. Anukumar, Ira Saksena's books, of course, Nilima Sinha and Ira Saksena's books on the freedom struggle. Here, the focus is mostly on people. We haven't put in books on the independence struggle per se, but of course we have the one that you're referring to. It's in fact one of the ones that we're going to be recommending today. Her name was Freedom. What a fantastic book it is, really. So, without much ado, and we do have our guest appearance quiz up today as well. So, in about 15 minutes, I'll put out the first question and three questions that will come between 11:30 and 12. And, and then the Google form that goes up for you to fill out the answers of who that personality is. So, my first set of recommendations for all of you is this very, very exciting series of books, which you're probably familiar with, called the Dreamers series, written and illustrated by Lavanya Karthik. I just utterly and absolutely love the way the series has been written and the way it's been illustrated and designed. It's so vibrant, and that the personalities that are being focused on each of these books just comes alive in Lavanya's writing and illustration. And we have today two of the newest ones from the series, which is The Girl Who Climbed Mountains by by Lavanya Karthik, about Bachendri Pal. I mean, this is such a lovely book. I mean, and I felt, we to create the history of our country, as the history of our country, whether it's the older history or the modern history, when people do things that change the course or make the history of a nation, you literally do climb mountains to do that. And we felt this was really a good start to make, because Bachendri Pal, as all of you know, the first woman to scale the magnificent Everest mountains, here Lavanya is bringing alive her story. And what's lovely is that she picks these, she's spot on when she's picking those events from her childhood, from Bachendri Pal's childhood, where in this one she's talking about her, with a group of friends, including her brother, deciding to do something on a holiday. And because they live in a little village which is nestled by the Himalayas, one of the things that they decide to do is to climb the mountains. And her brother immediately says, "Oh, come on, girls can't really climb mountains." And of course, in the village, they believe that the mountains are your gods. And when you call them, they absolutely listen to you. Now, of course, they have a free day, from school. I mean, the school's been closed, and they decide to go on a picnic. And that's when they decide that they will climb the hills around their village, at least getting up to the snow line. And Bachchan, her brother, says girls can't climb. He teases her, and she herself is called Bachchani as a child. And of course, you know what, being who she is, she says, "Race you," and she runs off. Really, what happens to Bachendri Pal? You've got to, and look at the colors, look at the beautiful colors. I mean, the Lavanya using different colors for each of the characters. And I just love how Bachendri Pal's life comes alive in this delightfully illustrated short biography. There's also the absolute new one, and someone that a lot of us admire, The Boy Who Loved Birds, Salim Ali. What a lovely little book it is. And the start that she makes, of Salim Ali as a young boy, Salu as he's called, who loves going after birds. I mean, the book begins on a questioning note, right? It says, what is a bird? Is it a target for a sport? Is it a morsel to savor? Is it a pet? Well, for Salu, birds were simple things, but one of them that he meets is a mystery. What is a mystery? So Salu cannot identify that bird. And that's a puzzle that he absolutely wants to solve. And that, helps him set off on a journey of a lifetime. You and me know that, he went on to become the Birdman of India. It's just lovely how, Lavanya portrays him as a boy who's curious about mysteries, especially mysteries concerning birds. Two lovely little biographies, two iconic Indians really for us, Bachendri Pal and Salim Ali. Other books in the series for people who are not familiar with it, The Boy Who Played with Light, Satyajit Ray, The Girl Who Loved to Sing, Tijan Bai, the boys who created Malgudi, R.K. Narayan and R.K. Lakshman, and the girl who was a forest, Janaki Ammal. So you can see all those four covers coming up. These are just utterly wonderful biographies of inspiring Indians. We'd say meant for readers six up, to really get an understanding of the lives of these people and how they became the change makers that they eventually became. Our next set of books focuses on three extraordinary scientists. So what I like I said, we've tried to bring in people from different walks of life, scientists, political leaders, environmentalists, activists, artists, writers. I mean, we've just got the whole gamut of them in our on our site. Do check it out. We can recommend barely 8-10 books in the course of the show, but there's lots and lots to pick from, lots of themes that might interest you. And and young readers, especially, for instance, if they're interested in sport, there are lots of sporting icons on whom we have books. If they're interested in climate change, there are books about environmentalists as well. So do check out the collection and pick up what the young people in your lives want. But the three scientists that we have sort of chosen to focus on today, the first one being somebody who's really whose story we literally got to know just from this book, Anna's extraordinary experiments with weather. I mean, this is the story of Anna Money, an Indian scientist who loved to read about the world around her. Joanne Saldana, good morning. What a pleasure to see you here at the Buzzaar after a long, long time. We've been missing some of our old friends, but we understand that schools are open and, book people are always busy in school. So utterly delighted to see you here this morning. We were saying the same thing to Arun and a couple of other viewers as well this morning. We understand that you're busy at school, but we're delighted when you make time to join us at the Buzzaar. Now, this one, written by Nandita Jayaraj and illustrated by Priya Kurian, actually traces the life of young Anna Mani, who's celebrating her birthday. And, it's her 8th birthday party when the book begins, set in her 8th birthday party. And, she's blowing the candles and she has one wish, one wish that she hopes will get fulfilled. And of course, she opens her presents to see what those to see if her wish is going to be fulfilled. And there are some diamond earrings in one of the boxes, and she is like, oh my god, that's just not what I wanted. I wanted books and more books. Boy, don't we love young Anna Money. And everybody's like, what are you going to do with all these books? Well, having her nose in her book. And look at that illustration when her parents really give her that book, give her the books. Look at her happily running up to read them. What does that do? Well, it opens up the world for her. Many years later, she went goes on to get a job in a laboratory headed by none other than Sir C.V. Raman. And that box, that job really opens her eyes out to what it takes to becoming a weather scientist. It sort of kindles a curiosity about the science of weather. And she goes on to become India's most extraordinary weather scientist. It's such a slim chit of a book giving you the timeline of Anna Mani's life as well and her extraordinary scientific adventures. This one published by Pratham, again, absolutely meant for our youngest readers. We have another one. We have 3 science books in the set, or maybe 4 that we have put out, and several others, but we're just picking a few. I can see Joanne saying, I always catch up later thanks to the recordings. Thank you for that. All those thanks going out to Sham, who has absolutely, thought of all these things and built in the technology into our shows. This one, Little Jagdish and the Great Experiment, written by Anjali Joshi and illustrated by Devasmita Das Gupta, absolutely inspired by the life and times of Sir Jagdish Chandra Bose, literally, whom we believe to be the father of modern Indian science. You can see these books. They are very, very simple. Our youngest readers can really, really understand and empathize with these books. And especially in this one, Jagdish, a curious young child, who has, every time he looks around in the world, there are several unanswered questions. And what does he do? Along with his Baba, he sets out to explore the mysteries of the world through scientific ideas. And as he's just so inspired by the fact that science can answer so many questions to the mysteries that he sees around him, especially one when he decides to conduct an experiment. This is the great experiment of the title, with a plant. You have to read the book to find out what, if you don't know it already, of course, like, you have to read the book to find out what this great experiment is, and the text and illustrations taking you on a wondrous scientific journey that absolutely will sort of kindle the curiosity, the scientific temper of our youngest readers. I mean, but when I say youngest readers, I mean, these age groups, we would say this would typically work 6 7 plus, definitely, but you can certainly read them out to younger kids. And you will find that their scientific curiosity certainly going to be kindled by books like this. And of course, because we had Anna Money and this book by Tulika Publishers back in print after a long time, it was one of the earliest ones, like a picture book on science, that I had seen. Why the Sky is Blue, Dr. C.V. Raman talks about science. I mean, Dr. C.V. Raman, I love the format that Tulika has used. I mean, a man who loved the universe, loved science, but what is really remarkable is how much he loved speaking to children. I mean, it is said that he spoke eloquently and encouraged children to ask questions and seek answers. I mean, this book is all about, I love the way that they've put in photographs. They have like little entries from, Sir C.V. Raman's diary. I mean, there's a timeline, of course, that records his life, but the anecdotes, and the explanation of the Raman effect. I mean, we all know the Raman effect, but what was that? Where did he come up with the idea of the Raman effect? How did he use science to capture, to explain a very, very natural, I mean, a scientific phenomenon? It is just a fantastic book that captures both, the personality of the man and the science behind the Raman effect. Why I love the way, some of the simple questions, like for instance, you see this one: why is it that stars are not visible in the daytime? Simple question. What is the answer to that? The photographs really add so much value to the book. Sunila Kulkarni Gupte, so happy to see you here. And I know you messaged us this morning about a little story of yours that made an appearance in the Hindu. Congratulations. I mean, this is a theme, the theme of independence, the theme of freedom, of the freedom struggle, and the making of modern India, that is close to so many hearts, right? I mean, it's a the emergence of India as a modern nation, right? Like these 75 years that have gone past, what has helped our, what has sort of steered our destiny forward, what has steered us into being this vibrant, diverse democracy. And I'm not saying that this democracy is without problems, but this theme, I think, is of interest to people of all ages, the youngest readers, middle grade readers, older readers. And I'm delighted that you have a story on the freedom struggle. Going to read it definitely once the show is done. So these are three path breaking scientists whose achievements, whose inventions, whose discovery, and whose innate curiosity and scientific temper really brought Indian science to the cutting edge, basically. And we have one more book, which is, we would say, for young adults, called India's Science Geniuses and the Problems They Are Solving. Excellent book, introducing you to many, many people that we absolutely, at least I absolutely didn't know of at all. This is a book for older readers, but I'm assuming, young adults too can read this one to find out how much we are doing in the area of science, whether it's astronomy or whether it's neuroscience, whether it's earth sciences. There's just so much work going on in the country in the field of science. India's Science Genius is a great one to add to your collection. Before we get on to more recommendations, guest appearance, and my God, it's taken us like the whole week to figure out who we could choose, who we could sort of focus on. There's just so many inspiring, iconic Indians. So we have, of course, made a pick based on just our chats and our choices. I mean, you may not agree that he is perhaps one of the most iconic Indians of all time, but certainly a path breaking leader and a game changer. So I'm going to let Sham play the first question out for you. For our friends on Instagram, you'll be able to see this question. Will they be able to see this question, Sham? Yeah, they will be. Okay, so for our friends on Instagram, if you're not able to view this question and the two other ones that follow subsequently, it'll be up. The questions will go up after our show. It's not like a fastest finger first quiz. So you can fill the Google form and submit your responses. You have time till Friday next week to do it. So go ahead and listen to the first question. Okay, so that was the first question. We have three questions. All of them are clues to, for you to guess the name of that person. So this one was, he was the first Indian to pursue a doctorate in economics abroad and played a key role in the establishment of the Reserve Bank of India in 1935. He was responsible for changing the working hours in India from 12 hours to 8 hours a day way back in 1942. Thank God, we owe him a giant salute for just that. Although I'm not sure we work only 8 hours at Funky Rainbow. I think everybody's clocking in 12, 13, 14 hours to get. So, of course, Sham has a witty answer. He says 8 hours after office hours, we need to kind of clock in, to get our shows and our pop ups off the ground. An autobiographical story he wrote in 1935, 1936, after his travels to the US and Europe, is presently used as a textbook in Columbia University. Who is he? Don't have to guess immediately, but you can certainly, listen into the subsequent clues. There's an audio clue and a visual clue, and guess the answers. The Google form to respond will go up after the two questions are put out. I move to my next recommendation, and it's a book that was on our shelves many years ago, but has come back, just fairly recently. I mean, India is quite synonymous with movies. Every part of the country has movie, that has movie traditions that go back many decades. But the man who started it off all for us, This book, Lights, Camera, Action: The Life and Times of Dada Saheb Phalke. What a lovely book Pratham has brought out. And I love that part where, it's written by Rupali Bhave and illustrated by Sunaina Nair Kanjilal. The thing is, I love the part where, Dada Saheb Phalke is shown on the streets of Mumbai, and, he's calling out to people saying, come watch people move in photographs, and you can see a picture that is 2 miles long. You can see that reel on the cover, basically, right? And only 3 annas for you to come and do this. I mean, that's how he invited people on the streets to come and watch his first film. I mean, this is a fantastic biography or life story. I wouldn't say like entirely just a biography of the amazing genius Dada Saheb Phalke, the father of Indian cinema. And you understand, when you read the book, you will see that, that his life itself is, as fascinating as a film by itself. It has all the ingredients of a blockbuster, in his own life. And I'm assuming that the film world is exactly like that, right? The trials and tribulations of being able to make a movie, it really makes for a blockbuster movie itself. Arun saying, I was wondering, are there any books of theme in comic form apart from ACK books? We are wondering whether, there is the Scholastic series, and I have one that I'm going to be recommending later, which clubs text and, it text and, some comic pages. We love that series, and of course I can see Book Pickle saying Campfire graphic novels have a few. Some of the Campfire ones are quite nice. Some of the Campfire ones, I think perhaps need better editing. But I think the Scholastic ones, which club text and pages of graphic novel written by fairly, very well established writers from the Indian kid lit space, really, perhaps the only ones that are there in comic format. I mean, there are the ones in comic format about people from the defense services. I know Major General Ian Cardozo has done one about the Paramveer Chakra winners, basically award winners, and a couple of others as well. I mean, I think there's a pack that came out from Penguin called the Warrior Pack. But it would just be lovely to have, the lives of people from different walks of life examined in graphic format. And like you said, of course, Campfire does have a couple of Indian personalities, a lot of international personalities in their collection. But it's a mixed bag, really, the Campfire comics. So Dada Saheb Phalke, we would recommend this for 8+ year olds, a great peek into the life of a great man. We move, of course, I mean, at Funky Rainbow, we have a partiality to everything that's sort of connected to the arts. And to, I mean, I'm not saying that we don't do science and sports and everything, but when there are books of art that come out, like, focusing on artists, we always love to showcase them in our bazaar. And our next books, two books, are about two of India's iconic artists. This one, Amrita Shergill, a story of a free spirit, written and illustrated by Falguni Gokhale. This series from Tota has a whole bunch of inspiring personalities and slightly unusual personalities. There's Mahadevi Varma, the author. There is Bhimsen Joshi, the singer. There is Kalpana Chawla, the space, the astronaut. And so many others. There's Tribhuvan Patel, called the milkman of India often, and two new ones that have come in on Amrita Shergill, the artist, and again Salim Ali, the birdman of India. So we're picking Amrita Shergill today, and these life stories, as you can see, I mean, they really are for our youngest readers. We would imagine that somebody as young as 3 or 4 can be reading these books, or can be read to. And then maybe when they're 5, they can read these ones to, by themselves. I mean, the whole idea of the series is to awaken young minds to new possibilities, and sort of encouraging young minds to dream, and to dream fearlessly. And who better than artist Amrita Shergill, who absolutely, whose art was a reflection of what was in her heart, and what was in her heart was just art. I mean, she has traveled widely to Europe. I mean, was able to be, was influenced by many of the great European masters, but then went on, especially the Italian masters, and but then went on to absolutely pioneer modern art in India in her own iconic way. And this one, we'd say, meant for readers, I mean, to be read to 3 4 years perhaps, and then can be read by kids themselves at age 5. And there's, I think, 6 or 8 books in the series. We have them up as a series as well, and we also have them up individually. So if you're looking for something for the youngest readers, do consider this one. And another iconic painter from the south of India, Prince with a Paintbrush, the story of Raja Ravi Varma, one of India's most charismatic painters, really. I mean, so many South Indian households, would have, probably to this day too, have pictures of prints of Raja Ravi Varma's paintings on their walls. And I think Shobha Tarur Srinivasan and Raika Sen, Shobha Tarur Srinivasan, who's written the book, and Raika Sen, who's illustrated it, really helped readers discover the life, the times, and the works of Raja Ravi Varma, who was really born into royalty. But the reason he is a Raja, I think, and that's what the book says, is because he was really a Raja of the art. I mean, he was born into the born in a royal family in Travancore and in Kerala. And the thing is, literally, with maybe, if whether it's a silver spoon or not, certainly a paintbrush in his hands. How did he become the father of modern Indian art? How did he adapt European artistic techniques, various European artistic techniques to Indian themes and to Indian subjects, and drawing the gods and goddesses? Now his paintings have become synonymous with calendar art. I think, like I said, he's truly the Raja of creativity on canvas. And you can see the book reproduces the splendidly illustrated book, with photographs reproducing very many of Ravi Varma's paintings. And one of the big things about him was that he was so particular that art had to be affordable. If art had to be appealing to a whole bunch of people, then if art needed to make its way into every household, it absolutely has to be affordable. He was really one of the pioneers in that. So, two artists, I mean, you are all aware that we have the wonderful Amrita Shergill biography by Anita Vajrajani, for which she won the Bal Sahitya Puraskar this year. There are just excellent books on iconic Indians available from different writers, and you must check out the what we've put up on our Buzzaar, www.funkyrainbow.com. Click on the tab that says Book Buzzaar, and the drop down menu will take you to season 5. Lots of books, hundreds of over 100 books, I think, on different iconic Indians. I'm going to move on to my next recommendation, and this is the one I was telling you about, Arun, the Great Lives series from Scholastic. And I've picked the book on Verghese Kurian, the milkman of India, written by Rohini Chowdhury and illustrated by Dhruva Rao. You see what I mean? It's part comic, it's part graphic novel, and it's part text, it making that a really appealing format for young readers. And we've picked Verghese Kurian because when we grew up, I mean, when I was growing up in the 70s, 80s, basically, right? I mean, the image of him as the milkman of India really, uh, I remember my father and mother talking about him several times, on different days when you'd fuss to drink your milk before you ran off to school, or, you'd fuss to drink your milk coming back from school. There was always the talk of Verghese Kurian and how he made us self-reliant when it came to the production of milk. And that's one of the reasons I've picked the book. I mean, he was a government servant, Verghese Kurian. He started out working in the government, and it can be so frustrating, when you're not able to put your plans into action because it's been stalled or stymied by the powers that be. How did Varghese Kurian overcome that challenge? How and why did he feel that we must become self reliant in the production of milk? It's really a fantastic peek into an enterprising, innovative, and dynamic personality of India. I know you say, Arun, that I think Ruskin Bond is published in the same series by Scholastic. Absolutely. There is Sachin Tendulkar in the series, there is Mahatma Gandhi in the series, and there's APJ Abdul Kalam as well in the series, besides Ruskin Bond. And in fact, Ruskin Bond got a hardback book to his name, while these are paperbacks. But I really love this one on Varghese Kurian, particularly simply because um, his name resonated so often during my childhood that I was delighted to see that there's a book available for young readers today, to take, to talk about the times when India didn't have enough milk for its needs and what did we do to make that happen. So the book takes you into Anand, which is the place, the dairy that Varghese, Kurian set up, and really gives you an inside view into his path-breaking ways. So that was the one on Varghese Kurian. Is it time for our second guest appearance question? And Sham's going to share a photograph of the person whose name we want you to guess. For our friends on Instagram, you're not going to be able to see this one, but do wait for the bazaar to get done, and the questions will go up on our social media pages on Instagram and Facebook. Sham, Sham. Okay, so that was the picture, and I think it's almost a giveaway of who the person is. But one more clue that will come up in the next 10 minutes or so for you to firm up your minds. And you can always write in and tell us whether you think he is one of our most iconic leaders ever. Our next set of recommendations, and I'm just watching how much time we have. I mean, I did have somehow mountains, and climbing every mountain is obviously a theme that resonates very closely with us. So I had two books, but I'll run very quickly through them because we have a clutch of other ones as well to recommend. But even more, we have two lovely guests to speak with later in the show. So there's Tyne and the Faraway Mountain, published by Pratham, about this young girl called Tyne who lives in the town of Ekili in the northeast, in Arunachal Pradesh, actually, but hears the Everest calling out to her. I mean, if there's a book that celebrates the power of dreaming and the power of self belief, this one's definitely got to be it. She is one of those mountaineers, who decides to reach the top of the world. And, this book celebrates her journey in doing that. We also have, I know we started the bazaar with Bachendri Pal, but what to do climbing all the mountains, obviously inspiring the team at Funky Rainbow as well. We also have Arjun Vajpayee's book, On Top of the World, My Everest Adventure. Arjun Vajpayee with Anu Kumar, the author Anu Kumar, telling the story of 16-year-old Arjun Vajpayee, who stood on top of the world having conquered Mount Everest. And at that time, he held the record for being the youngest non-Sherpa person in the world to do so. It's an exhilarating he recalls his journey in great detail. I remember when we were putting together our magazines, Chatterbox, we had an opportunity to interview him. And, the way he spoke about that last, climbing that Hillary step, which is like the last segment of the climb to the top. I mean, his recollection of how difficult it was to surmount the Hillary step is just amazing, because when you're climbing, the weather is absolutely at its extreme. And there are, you do see often bodies of people who haven't managed to get to the top there. How how should that feel for a boy who's just was only 16? And what did it take? Is it just physical endurance, or is it endurance of the mind that makes you go forward with fortitude, with courage, and make your seemingly impossible dream come true? Fantastic recollection. He's written it in association with Anu Kumar. So here, you have three mountaineering books to pick up if you feel you're also at a place where you want to climb every mountain. The next set of books, and I'm going to focus on one of them in the interest of time, is a person that we deeply admire at Funky Rainbow, His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And I love this series that Arti Mutana Singh and Mamta Naini have put together, of the lives of different people in 100 anecdotes. So we have His Holiness the Dalai Lama in 100 anecdotes, and this pocket size book, giving you, I mean, it's a small book, beautifully formatted and designed, but delivering in 100 anecdotes such a great image of a person who has shaped our who has sort of been in our midst for so many years now, and who is clearly one of our greatest spiritual leaders. What is lovely about His Holiness the Dalai Lama is the accessibility. I mean, when you see him, you feel like, well, it could just be, he could just be like any one of us. I mean, even at this age, laughing, laughing at jokes, smiling. I had a chance to attend a session where he was talking about his life journey, and it was, the delight that he took in even small things. The people who'd invited him had decorated the hall so beautifully with flowers, and the kind of delight that he took in that is just fantastic. Nidhi saying, yes, there's a session on this at Eureka Bookshop, Delhi today. Look at that, really. All independent bookstores thinking exactly the same way. There's no way we couldn't have included this set of books. I mean, I love the, like the bite-sized format of it. But, the book packs a punch. You may think that, there's only so little text, but each anecdote, and these are lesser known anecdotes. These are not, things that you will get off of Wikipedia or anything, and interspersed with lovely illustrations. Like, you can see these kind of light, beautiful illustrations, really bringing alive the lives of the three people in the series. There's Gandhi in 150 anecdotes. There's Satyajit Ray, as well, as Arun is saying. We don't have the Satyajit Ray book in our collection. I think it's out of print, but it's a absolute collector's item. I'd say, give this to your kids, if they want information. I mean, they're perfect for the new generation of readers. I mean, info in bite-sized chunks, and and as you read those, anecdote after anecdote, piecing the personality of of an iconic Indian, such a lovely way to do it. I think the Satyajit Ray book is out of print, but it's also a glorious one, where they've shared so many wonderful anecdotes about the life of Satyajit Ray. But the Dalai Lama book, the latest one, and for those of you who really admire the spiritual leader, certainly one that needs to come into your collection. I think the books as a set would make great gifts, even for other occasions. I mean, if you're going for a housewarming ceremony, or if you're going in for, someone's wedding, I think these books are so classy and wonderful. They would make fantastic gifts, provided the people that you're gifting them to are readers. Quickly going to run through my last clutch of books, before we have the last guest appearance question. Nidhi, you're saying you bought it at Buckaroo last year. How wonderful. Did you pick up the Satyajit Ray one at Buckaroo last year? Because that's the one that I really enjoyed as well. But I have, very much liked the Dalai Lama one too, because I'm in great admiration of his personality. Now, two quick books, one of which Arun had already sort of recommended in the course of the show. I love this one in the 10 series, 10 Indian heroes who help people live with dignity. Such an important component of our democracy. I mean, the haves and the have nots, the people, who have everything going for them, and the people who, subsist in the margins of society. Is it not our job to really ensure that if we call ourselves one of the most vibrant democracies, and most diverse democracies, to make space for everyone in it? And the heroes that they've portrayed here, that the author Somak Ghoshal has portrayed in this book, whether it's Irom Sharmila, we know how many years she's been protesting against military rule in the Northeast, whether it's Bezwada Wilson, who has fought his entire life to ensure that manual scavenging is absolutely abolished. I mean, these despicable practices, of manual scavenging gets abolished. Whether it's Dr. Devi Shetty or Medha Patkar, these 10 heroes and heroines that Somak focused on in this book point to that cornerstone that is important if we want to call ourselves the world's most vibrant democracy. That is D for dignity. Dignity for every profession, dignity for anything that you choose to be. It doesn't matter what your religious preferences are, doesn't matter what your sexual preferences are, doesn't matter what religion you belong to, doesn't matter what your profession is. Dignity absolutely should be the cornerstone of any thriving democracy. I just love this book very, very much, in this series. I mean, there's also, one of the activists featured in the book about, you know I forget the name of the activist who fought for the the Bhopal gas tragedy victims. I mean, it's just great that Somak Ghoshal has featured such a diverse range of activists in the book. And I think our young people, sometimes very, very privileged, should know what we need to do to make this an even playing game. Book Pickle, you say it's a wonderful book and an excellent series. Yes, one of, I mean, I absolutely love the other ones as well, but this is certainly one of my favorites. Quickly going to run through the last two ones. There's Her Name Was Freedom, 35 Fearless Women Who Fought for India's Independence by Anu Kumar, which I just love the cover of the book and the focus on fearless, feisty women who won us our independence. What I like about Anu Kumar's book is the fact that the people, these feisty women that she's focused on, they could have been princesses, they could have been homemakers, they could have been housewives, they could have been politicians, they could have been poets. I mean, they come from different strata of society, from different walks of life, but it is just wonderful how they worked to win India her freedom. And we often hear of a lot of men as who are part of the freedom struggle. What of the women? It's impossible that women were not part of the freedom struggle. And Anu Kumar has really, whether it is Dr. Annie Besant, Bhikaji Kama, Rani Chennamma, Jhansi Rani Lakshmi Bai, she has focused on several known and unknown women personalities who have done a lot to make freedom happen for our country. Sunila, you say the cover is fabulous and you have it and you're waiting to read it. It's an excellent book, and you can just dip into the life of one of the ladies. And, it's not like a biographical note. It tells you what they did fearlessly to make freedom possible, whether it was the waving of the flag, making sure that we actually have a flag to represent our freedom struggle. This is just a lovely, lovely book, and its cover most attractive, really. And it's just excellent that these women have left such a wonderful legacy for us. Arun, you say, I got Anu Kumar's book from an indie bookstore, Akshara bookstore in Hyderabad, and they have an amazing collection. As long as you're supporting independent bookstores, we are just utterly delighted. They need all the support from readers like all of you. I mean, because they put their heart into books. My last one, and I'm just going to quickly say a line about this, is possibly one of the most outstanding books in our collection. The author, one of India's most exciting contemporary voices, Devika Karyappa, with 25 game changers, India through people, 25 game changers. I just love the way she has portrayed through the lives of these 25 game changers who range from Rabindranath Tagore to Mahatma Gandhi to Rukmini Devi Arundel to Dhyan Chand. She's straddled so many areas. She's taken sports people, she's taken singers, she's taken political leaders, she's taken activists, even economists, to show you what she's done in each of their stories is to say, what was the context of the times that they lived in, what were the changes that they were seeking to make, and how did they walk paths. I mean, when they were just everyday people, living in the country, how did they walk paths that were so different from everyone else, and how did that bring about the change. 75 years, I mean, she's chosen fairly modern personalities, because she is showing through the lives of these personalities how the history of modern India got shaped. I mean, there's MF Hussain, and when you read the book, it definitely seems like, I mean, it's a wonder that India is, like that we exist as a country is something of a wonder. And what have these people done to absolutely, keep our nation together in, not really sort of in this jingoistic kind of way, but, they are, sort of knitting what we call nationhood. I think Devika's book does such a good job of giving us that picture of nationhood and what our modern nation is like. Is it with flaws? Of course it is. I mean, is everything perfect? Of course it's not. But there's really something that makes for the wonder of India. And I think Devika Karyappa's book does a great job of presenting that through the lives of 25 game changers. Sunila, you're saying Devika Karyappa is so erudite yet so readable. So well said, really, Devika. Her erudition just sparkles on the pages, but she's so readable and so very approachable. It's a fantastic book. It must be on all your shelves, whether you're a parent, teacher, librarian, grandparent, or simply just a reader. Devika Karyappa's is a must read book. With that, we've come to the conclusion of our recommendations, but we're going to play the third guest appearance question for you, which is a picture clue, and then we will move on to invite our guests for the day. I'm sorry, Sham reminds me that it's an audio clue. The picture clue already went up earlier.
Our difficulty, as I said, is not about the ultimate future. Our difficulty is how to make the heterogeneous mess that we have today take a decision in common and march in a cooperative way on that road which is bound to lead us to unity.
Okay, for our friends on Instagram who had to just watch blankly for a bit, that was an audio clue going up of the personality whom we want you to guess. All these three questions will be up on our social media channels just after the bazaar is done by 1 o'clock. And, it's not a fastest finger first quiz, so you can take your time, fill in the form, and do submit it, because there are prizes to be won every week, mostly book vouchers or books, of course. With that, we invite our two exciting writers, to join us on the show today. I want to check with Sham if the two of them are in. We're going to have to do the Instagram inviting as well, Sham. So if you want to bring them up on screen and then send out the Instagram invite, we'll quickly say hello to them and send out the two Instagram invites. Hi, Ashwita. Good afternoon.
Hi. I hope you can hear me and
Just
all
hang
right.
on. Yeah, absolutely. Hello, Maya. What a
Hi.
pleasure to see you here today. Can you hear us?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay, wait. We can't hear Maya very clearly, but Ashwita is loud and clear. Maya, do you want to just say something?
Is this better?
You can hear. Can you hear? Yeah. All right. That's better now, Maya. I can hear the two of you. Yeah. Can you just say something again, because the back end studio is able to hear you, but I'm not.
Uh, Quick test. Can you hear
Uh,
me?
no, very haltingly, Sham. I can't hear Maya at all. No. So sorry. I'm going to just have you say something again, Maya.
Okay, testing. One, two, three.
Yeah, all right. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. Before we introduce both of you to our audience, we're going to send out the Instagram invite from Traveling Bookshop to just see that that goes up as well. And I can see Arun, one of our viewers, saying the audio is good of the three, all three of you. Thank you so much for saying that, Arun. Sham, can we send out the Instagram invite? So hang on a second. Yeah. So, for the audience who's watching, while the Instagram invites go out and both Maya Chandrasekharan and Ashwita Jaykumar accept it, let me quickly introduce the two wonderful new writers, in the contemporary Indian children's publishing context. Ashwita Jaykumar has a master's in English literature from the University of Edinburgh and one in medieval studies from the University of Leeds. She has worked in the Indian publishing industry for over a decade as an editor. And of course, like all good writers, when she's not reading about the past and dreaming about time traveling, she enjoys reading long fantasy novels. What else? But there are two interesting things as well. She loves playing video games and building elaborate Lego displays. So that, for me, that's a sign of the fact that she certainly belongs to a generation quite different from the one that I belong to, for sure. Welcome to you, Ashwita.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.
And Maya, of course, has always loved the magic of words and began writing as a child. Her first book, Janaki's First Term, was published when she was only 13. So you know that she absolutely, wanted to be a writer. Since then, she's written and published several other books for children and young people. And in her day job, Maya, too, doing something really exciting. She's an entrepreneur and an investor in climate startups. I mean, I love the diversity of our authors today, and it really makes me feel that there's a lot of, it's a brave new world out there, and people from all walks of life coming in, writing wonderful books for our young readers. What else can it be, but like a vibrant publishing scene when people like Ashwita and Maya write books for young readers. Of course, Maya loves to travel. She loves to daydream, as any good writer should be, and read out, books and stories to her two boys. So, of course, they're here today as authors of Incredible Indians, Ashwita's book, Incredible Indians, 75 People Who Shaped Modern India, published by HarperCollins, and Cadet Number One, Maya's book, and other amazing women in the armed forces, which Maya has co-written with Meera Naidu. Both these books published by HarperCollins, and I do want to give a special shout out to the publisher HarperCollins for supporting endeavors like our book Buzzaar. I mean, small independent bookstores, it takes a lot to survive, and for a publisher like HarperCollins to recognize that and come forward in support of our book bazaars, a big clap going out to the publishers and their authors. Thank you so much for joining us again, ladies. Do you want to say something before we get started with our questions?
Nothing. Just, really happy to be here and
Okay.
thank you for doing this.
Lovely, lovely to have the two of you over again. So I'm going to plunge headlong. I can see Pearls Montessori saying we're able to hear everyone well. It's so lovely that a Montessori school is watching, and I really hope there are many kids watching. From the Montessori school, just utterly delighted. I can't tell you how happy it makes us when we know that kids as well are watching, besides adults. And Sunila Kulkarni Gupte, also a writer, saying, "Hello, Ashwita and Maya. I'm so looking forward to hearing the two of you talking." So I'll get down to my first question for Ashwita, which says, which is, your book being a homage to 75 notable Indians from different walks of life, and what you've done through these, biographical notes. And, they're not really wiki biographical notes, really, right? You've gone into, things about their personalities. I love the way you've classified these